Oh man, Dr. Dre was crazy. That's one thing people didn't know about Dre was how crazy of a life he really was living for all those 4 or 5 years at death row. Because he came there in like 91 and then like 95, 96, he was out. He was out the door. So it took like 4 or 5 years of just all kind of craziness going on. Because back then, the rest of the world didn't know who Suge Knight was. Like, the world didn't know who Suge was when Death Row started. So when Easy E was like saying, like, man, yo, Death Row, I heard y'all getting treated like boot camp. Gotta follow your sergeant's direction. Get your ass popped with the Smith and West. Everybody around like Midwest thought that he was talking about Dr. Dre. Man, Dre running it like boot camp over there. I'm like, Dr. Dre? Nah, that's Sugar. You see the executive producer in big bold letters? Yeah, that's him. He the sergeant. He the one he talking about. And the more I had to explain that to people in the Midwest, because they don't really know. They didn't even know a lot of the situations that was going on over there. Like Jewel, she was in a very different space. She was dealing with some real street dudes. Like Jewel didn't play. And her and her guy that she was dealing with at the time, they've had some real knockout dragouts, like some drama. Dre was the type to get involved in situations. Like Dre was doing some of the craziest, dangerous things in the world. He was in Miami sleeping with dudes' chicks, without permission, anything. Like he was just thought, I'm with Suge. I could do whatever the hell I want. And he used that to the limit. So I never spoke about this. So on the Patreon, y'all hear about it first. Now, the Milwaukee situation, I think we just spoke on that, but this is a situation where Jewel was in an argument with a man in the hotel. Dre and Dude get into an argument because Dre starts, defending Jewel. That's his artist. And Dude is messing up, you about to mess up the money. So he gets all in his face. And at this time, Dre is drunk. So Dre, wow, punch Dude in his mouth. Dude get up, grab his thing. It's a melee going on, and he just start blasting at Dre. Pow, 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 pow. Shot Dre in his legs, broke out, Everybody ducked down, and he knew he had to get out of there. So he shot, broke out, and that was that. Now, what was pursuing after that? Because, that person knew that was something they shouldn't have done, but still, it is what it is. That was going to be problems for him. But that got handled. You know what I'm saying? So there was no need to expand on it further, but let's just say the situation got handled. Now, Dre, at that time, because there's no real reports of newspapers or anything really covering hip hop 24/7. So you able to do dirt and hide. There's no social media, So Dre was able to just chill out and make music and recover. He had the luxury to do all that. Not a lot of people have that luxury, but he had it. So Dre got into it with one of the girls that was in the park. She was didn't they call her like Diana or something like that? I think they called her like Queen Diana or something stupid like that. But when all of this was like transpiring and going down, nobody said anything other than nobody said like, man, it's gonna be a hard thing to do, or this is gonna be something that's gonna haunt us for a while. But you would think after the D situation that he had with D Thomas or whatever her name was, that would D Barnes. I'm sorry. After that, that would stop it. But no, Dre had another incident where the woman claimed Dr. Dre muffed her in the face at a party, and it was settled out of court. It was apparently that she got intimidated by some people that told her she need to shut up, shut the F up, or things wasn't gonna go her way. So her settlement ended up being, you better shut the F up and move along because ain't nothing happened to you, but something good happened to you. Then there was an alleged hit and run by Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre apparently hit a car and took off and kept driving. So the guy got the plate number and everything, and they reported the car and everything. So it came up white, whatever luxury car it was that hit the vehicle, and they wanted to get Dr. Dre for a hit and run. Would it be known? Would you believe that Dr. Dre beat that case? Dr. Dre said he wasn't even in town when the incident happened. When the guy said he saw that it was Dr. Dre when the car got hit, he looked right at Dr. Dre in the car. Dre went in town and said somebody could have been driving his car, somebody from the office. They all then drive his car around to get gas and stuff like that. So he had to pay fines and tickets for the incident with his insurance company or whatever. The record company Death Row took care of that. So now, many other incidents took place. And one of the main incidents is the fight at the Jack the Rapper. At Jack the Rapper, you see I'm sorry, I was watching this. At the Jack the Rapper, they had uh, all the rappers come out and do their thing and due diligence, and sure enough, JT Money, and man, JT took care of every bit of business of whooping some ass down on there. They was getting some Miami treatment down there as they realized for the first time, Dr. Dre and them realized, holy snap, Suge ain't got our back down here like that. So they had to come to an understanding with Luke real fast. Like, we can't just mess with these Miami dudes at all. You know, they ain't taking no kind of disrespect. But that ended up ruining Jack the Rapper, which was a staple out here in the Midwest. It was a way for independent artists to be known and get themselves basically promoted to their consumers, the fans. You know, so it was a great concept, and it was ahead of its curve for a John Doe business like hip hop. That was essential. Yeah. Damn, I done jammed my finger again. Damn. No. Times and situations are different. You know, it's like, oh no, Miss Chalet wanted to get Dr. Dre for abuse. You saw it on one of the show episodes where she claimed she was abused, and then Suge took her over when Dr. Dre moved another girl into the house while Miss Chalet was there. And then she just ended up saying something, and Dre went off on her. You know, these stories were all covered up to protect Dr. Dre's image, but had the Me Too movement would have came along earlier, they would have cracked down on Dre. But now he's too well protected to where anybody would even care. Now he's Beats by Dre, you know, and because of Eminem and his attachment with M, you know, all of that would definitely be out the window. Drake can come out and say, "Yeah, I was crazy back in the day, you know. I was ashamed of it. That's why I don't drink now because I've changed my life. That was me years ago. I made a mistake and all of these different things." And he's forgiven. While everyone else seemed like they can't get that same type of pass. It was a West Coast producer who worked with, I want to say he worked with Spice One. Like, he was from the Bay, and he had some tracks, and DJ Pam was playing like a song that he had produced on the radio for some local artists. And Cocaine, who used to, you know, ran with Above the Law and Easy and Ruthless, you know, Drake was like, "Man, you know, I know you cool with Easy and all that, and we, you know, ain't dealing with each other, but me and you ain't never had no problem. You know the such and such artist and blah blah blah. You know, Pam told me that you know dude." And he was, "Yeah, you know, I know, yeah, so and so." And Dre wanted to know what sample he used, and for the record that he had. And the sample he used, Dre ended up using that for it was a song that I think was gonna be made for. Don't quote me on this, but I think it was probably Tila album or something. But anyway, I know the dude worked. He was at Jive Records making that record for an artist at Jive. So it might have been Spice. It could have been Tila. I don't know which one. But the artist, once he made that track, Dr. Dre just wanted to know what record that was that he got that sample from. That they heard. He was like, "Man, I got that record. I never heard that part of the record." And he was like, "Oh, you gotta go." He's like, "You ain't listened to the whole song." He's like, "The song is actually it's two versions of the record." He's like, "I got the single version. On the single, they got the extended portion of the song, and it goes to a breakdown. And then when you get to that part, it starts to break down. You know, they go to have basically a jam session, and you start hearing them just experimenting, boom, boom, and playing with the tones. So once he heard that, Dre was, "Oh my God, that's it. That's what I need." And that's how you got gin and juice. Um, dum, mm. Dre put his own thing to it. But the gin and juice beat came from that breakdown on the extended version. So when he gave credit on the album, he gave credit to the artist who made that track. But they could never find that part on the song because it's on a. You had to have the actual EP that had or the extra single CD that came out on the record, and it had that mix, the long version on there, and it had that sample on it. So that's why Dre was able to get that and turn that into gin and juice, and add his pieces to it. Daz, yeah, Daz. I mean, we gonna get into that, the Daz situation, because Daz really was he was the lifeline to Death Row. Yeah. He was the workhorse. You know what I'm saying? Like people don't really give Daz his credit. It blows my mind. But yeah, it's just we don't get into that. I just wanted to give y'all the real first, the Patreons, because y'all deserve it. Y'all pay to get it first, so y'all should hear it first. Suge had a bunch of women set up. Like he put them in cribs that he basically wasn't paying for, but the company or somebody was gonna pay for it. But it ain't coming off his brow. So money was coming from another area or this area to pay for this. So once it was done, it was like Suge had all these different women set up, and then he'd go over there and sleep with them, and Miss Chalet was one of them. Because Dre just up and left. He just up and left her, and the bills wasn't getting paid or nothing. He just was gone. He just moved out and was gone. And she was like, "I don't think Dre coming back." He left his kids, everything. He didn't give a damn. Dre just left. Like, I just got to get out of town. Dre wasn't seen nowhere in LA. Nobody knew where he was. Dre was like considered almost MIA. They had heads looking for Dre. Dre became a recluse. He didn't come outside. He stayed at Clyde Davis's house on his estate. He didn't leave the property at all. Did not leave the compound unless it was to a plane, and he was out of there. And nobody from that area was ever looking for Dr. Dre. Where Clive stayed is an estate. So, and he took in, because Jimmy couldn't keep him at his house. Everybody thought, oh, he's staying at Jimmy crib. They got eyes on Jimmy crib. There's no way Dre could stay at Jimmy Iovine's house. So he had to stay at Clyde Davis's house. So he stayed at Clive's estate. Couldn't contact people and tell them where he was at. The whole nine. And for Dre's girl and everything else, they was like, "Where's Dre?" They know that, Tupac, that was one of his homegirls that Dre was dating. So he was trying to find out if she knew and everything, and she knew, but she wasn't saying. You know. Oh, Dre was calling her from other numbers. Dre had his deal. He was out the door. Because Dre saw the writing on the wall. So it was time to get up and get out. He just knew, like, this ain't finna last. Like, this stuff here it's killing us. Like, this ain't gonna make it. Like, we can't survive doing this type of nonsense. Like, do you want to be a gang member? Or you want to be a record producer? The DUI that had Drake going to jail, he got into the speed chase with the cops. They make it look different, straight out of Compton than what it actually really was. I mean, he was in a position where the cops was gonna open fire on him because that's how dangerous he was driving, speeding down these streets. But again, this is stuff like, man, people like, I didn't even know that happened. No internet. They really on the news didn't care to cover anything hip hop. And a lot of people think like this is where the money came in for hip hop. They were selling 4 and 5 million records and wasn't really getting that kind of money. The record label was, but they weren't. That's how the RZA ended up being one of the richest guys in the game because the RZA was producing the records. That's why I can't wait till the Wu-Tang story kick off. Oh, it's because they put Dr. Dre, they did the thing of the greatest producers in hip hop and all this stuff. Um, Back in like 93, 94, and Dr. Dre was like on the list, and they didn't even have the RZA listed. And it was like, man, the RZA didn't put out production value. Like he had Method Man that sold the Wu Tang album, sold like 2 million records. Then he had Old Dirty Bastard album that was gold, down there 1 million records sold. He had Raekwon the Chef, Ghostface, The Genius, all those albums out and done within that short period of time. And Dre ain't even come close to ever doing anything like that. But yet, they got him, Puffy, all these people that was above the RZA. So the RZA was pissed. he was being neglected, and he had an animosity towards Dr. Dre and all of them. So in '96, when uh, they was working on Wu Tang Forever. I mean, was it Wu Tang? I think it was Wu Tang Forever. And when they was doing that, there was a change. It was like a titanic plate shift. Cause I think Batman Forever had just came out, and the Wu Tang was like, their logo was like the Batman logo. Like when it goes up, everybody comes out. So that's what they thought. Like, man, our logo is gonna be we like Batman. So that's why it's Bat Forever, it's Wu Tang Forever. So when they did, then Puffy came out with Puffy Forever and all that. It was goofy what Puffy tried to do, but they were really putting an album because Cuban Links or Ghostface and Ray and Ghost was gonna do another joint album together, and that was gonna be the initial project before they ended up making Wu Tang Forever a double CD because everybody's like, man, that counts as two albums. You get double the certifications, and now the Wu Tang project turns into a double CD because that's the new wave. Now, with that being done, everybody's caught in the double CD wave, and they's like, all right, this is the movement. Songs that Ray and Ghost had, that's why it sounds almost like a Ray and Ghost album sometimes, because they were gonna work on a Ray and Ghost album again, like coming back, Raekwon featuring the Ghostface Killer, and this is what we finna do here, and this is what it's called. And so when you hear Little Ghetto Boys, which is like Cash Rules, and the Tyson fight and all that, when it's Ray and Ghost, just most of those songs were made for that album that ended up getting merged into the double CD. Um, Little Ghetto Boys is what Dre was. I mean, RZA started working on right away that beat because it was like, okay, I'm gonna show these dudes that what they did was just sample. They didn't really create or put anything with it to elevate it. I'm gonna show you what happens when you take a beat and really work it. RZA took Little Ghetto Boys, the same thing that Dre used. Dre, it's almost like two different songs, and he made that more rugged and street, and just almost like an original piece, the way the RZA did it. And that's how you know the RZA is a genius when it comes to an architect of sound. This is why he could do movie scores and things of that nature, because he knows sound. He knows how to get the right riffs to match up and link it up and chop it and put it together. People have copied and mimicked his style, and they was like, man, I need a Wu Tang type beat, like a RZA type beat, man. He's got singing in it. He's got all kind of different tones, and it brings out the track. And over the years, they started to lose that because they didn't have the blue raspberries or the taquitas anymore. And then now your team starts to lose. You start to lose that pizzazz, that glow. But yeah, he showed Dre and all them. Y'all moving Jermaine Dupri, all these people ahead of me, and don't even like put me on the list. And he was selling more records at that time than any of them. You know what I'm saying? Like Dre was the only one that was selling like some records, only because they had two like monster hits out of the gate, but it wasn't really off him. So yeah, that's just some stuff to keep y'all together and entertained. Thank you everybody who listened to me rant and vent. God bless y'all, man. Be safe out there. It's your boy Carcino. I'm out.